Hey guys, we're back. I'm Miss Therese, and we're going to kind of continue with leaves a little bit today. Next time we're going to do something different, but I thought just for the heck of it, since it's almost the end of fall, let's sort of enjoy the rest of that color. We're going to be doing some things with color construction paper. If you don't have that, you could use a paper bag. We've done that in a previous video. And we did color crayons last time as well as pencil. But today, like I said, we're going to do oil pastels, kind of have some fun with them, maybe learn a little bit more about leaves, and hopefully learn a little bit about oil pastel. One of my things that I kind of like to do, and all of my students know this, is I really like to do a border, and it just kind of helps me sort of get an idea of the space I'm going to be working in. And it's good practice for drawing lines. You can use a ruler, and like we said before, if you use the kind of the heel of your hand here, keep it on your work surface and pull with it, you can actually get a pretty straight line. But again, you don't have to have a straight line. If you wanted to do zigzags or any kind of wavy line, you could do that. And if you don't want to do a border, you don't have to do a border either. We're going to use some of the shapes that we used last time, but we're going to kind of experiment a little bit with oil pastels and kind of see what some of the things that oil pastels can do that maybe you can't do with pencil or color crayon. So I'm going to use some of the shapes that we used last time. This was like the maple leaf. It's called a palmate shape, and I think that's because it's got 5 points, kind of like your hand, and sort of palm shaped. And again, because I've done this shape before, it's kind of fun to do it again. The more you do something, the more you practice something, the better you're going to get at it. And then we did some shapes which were more, and I've got to look up the name of that shape, which were more like sort of just a plain leaf shape. So we're going to try that one. So we're going to do some big leaves with oil pastels, and then we're going to have some fun and do some other things with it. So again, this is kind of like the last one that we did, but we're just using something different to draw with them, and again just practicing. So I've outlined in white. I forgot to mention that we are using a darker construction paper. You could use a paper bag. We've done that before. I kind of like to use white on a darker construction paper because you can really get a nice lift out of the colors when you sort of start messing around with the white, and I'll show you what I mean by that. We'll add the veins in, and again we're going to be going over this with other colors, so just sort of have fun with that. You could even design your own leaf shape if you want. It doesn't have to be anything that's realistic actually, although I really kind of like things that are realistic. So I'm going to start adding some colors, and look at that pile of oil pastels. They're kind of yummy looking. I'm going to start with the orange, and as you can see, that orange doesn't show up very well on this purple paper, but watch what's going to happen. When you're using oil pastels, you know, it's almost like you're painting with them, and so I'm just kind of layering the oil pastel in here, and it might be kind of hard to see the orange, and can you see that, Luke? Mm-hmm. Is orange showing up?
Yeah, it is.
It's actually showing up. Okay. So, and I'm just going to kind of color over. Watch this. This is kind of magic. When you start to use white over this, look what happens. It's going to really pop that color out. And again, I'm just putting it in, not necessarily really perfectly, just sort of layer it in like this. And I could kind of leave it sort of scratchy like that, which I kind of like. Maybe add a little stem there, a few touches of green that's a little bit left over. And I could leave it just like that, which is kind of cool. Or I could take my finger and I can come in. A lot of my students out there know about this. I love to just blend those oil pastels. You can also take an eraser. It's one place where I'll actually use an eraser. You can take an eraser and you can use that to blend or smear or whatever you want to call it. So I'm just starting to sort of layer in colors. And you can, let's see, what else am I going to do here? Maybe I'll put in, that's kind of a rust color. I might come back in with that and sort of design my leaf like this. You can do it any way you want. Remember, you're the artist, it's up to you. And the best part is, even if you don't you're not happy with your drawing, you can always start again. So what I'm doing here is just kind of layering this in. And let's see here. Like there's a little bit of blue just for the heck of it, just to kind of add a little interest, and it can make it kind of fun. And again, I'm just going to blend it like this with my finger. Kind of fun. You get sort of a messy finger. Now, some people, here I'm going to come back in with white again. I think it doesn't matter how old or how young you are, anybody can use oil pastels. Just make sure they stay on top of the table or in your container, because if they do get on the floor, they can be kind of a mess. These ones are super washable, and look at that, that's kind of fun. So when I put the white on it, I might even get a stronger white in here. And you know, like this time of year, right after the leaves change, we can get a little frost. So if I put that white in and maybe don't blend it as much, it's going to kind of look maybe like a little bit of frost, like that, for that leaf. Look at that. Isn't that kind of fun? So just sort of experiment. And again, there is no right or wrong way to do this. There's no formula on how to do this. Watch this one. I'm going to color this one with white for starts. We'll do kind of the opposite. One of the best parts about drawing is finding your own style and adding a little bit of kind of light brown here, finding your own style and finding things that you like to draw, and then just kind of practicing it. There's a little bit of purple, or that's black. It's a little bit of black. So I'm going to make that leaf kind of dark that way. Oh, look at that. That's kind of fun. And then maybe I'll come back in with that orange and tip it with a little bit of that blue, like that. Finish it off with a white, like it's been sort of frosted with a little bit of frost. So that's just another idea. I could fill these other leaves in. I'm going to leave this for now, and we're going to try a little something else, but this is just to kind of get you started. So I'm going to do something a little bit different here. Again, I put my border in. Again, that's optional. You don't have to do that. I just sort of like doing that. And I was kind of thinking, let's do sort of a little line like this. You can kind of probably see where this is going. And I think in the background I'm going to do maybe a line like that. So what I've got is I've got some hills in the background. We live near the Cascade Mountains, and I always like looking east. That's the direction they are, and kind of looking at their shapes. And then I was kind of going through, when I was on a little bit of a run, I was, again, looking at the trees. I love to look at them. And so I thought, gosh, wouldn't that make kind of a fun little project? So we're going to do some trees with leaves blowing off them. And I'm going to do, I don't know if you guys remember this, it's called a Y tree, where you draw the trunk and then you just kind of keep doing the branches and kind of keep Ying them off. And maybe I'll do a smaller one back here. This will kind of give you a little bit of perspective when you kind of move. If you move things up on the page, it's going to look further away, especially if you make it a little bit smaller. And the closer they are to you, maybe the lower they'll be, and a little bit bigger. So that's kind of our basic one there. That's kind of my basic design. You could do one tree, you could do a whole bunch of trees. And then what I thought here, I'm going to do just some leaf shapes, kind of like this, just really quickly with the white, because I'm going to go over them with different colors. And I'm going to have some of them on the tree, some of them sort of unattached. You could attach all of yours like that, but I'm just doing sort of a little shape like this. You could do any shape you wanted. You could make them bigger. You could make them smaller. And so this is kind of the beginning of my little kind of oil pastel drawing here. And I'm going to have some of those leaves sort of flying off like this, kind of going different places. And again, I've done it all in white because that way I can add color sort of on top of it. You know, I'm going to make kind of a darker and stormy sky. Sometimes when I'm working, I move my paper because, I mean, I could always color it across like that. But for me, when I move the paper, I might be able to get a little bit better control of using the space. And I'm going to make kind of a darker sky. This is sort of a dark kind of marine kind of blue, but you could do a gray, you could do a blue sky, you could do orange. I've seen some ones that students have done that have been absolutely beautiful in all different colors. It could be purple, anything like that. But I kind of want this to be sort of dark and stormy. So I just layered that in, and I'm going to kind of come back in with my finger. It's really getting used today. I'm kind of full of oil pastels, but that's all right. So I'm just really working that in there. Now, if I want to make it look a little bit darker and stormier, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of black on top. Just going to put a line in like this. And I'm going to, again, blend that in. You could leave the line as it is. Again, you're the artist. This is all up to you. You kind of decide how you want to do it. Now, we haven't had any snow left, so when I do my mountaintops, I might not put any snow in there. And let's see, let's get to the trees. So I'm going to do, we've got our orange leaves, and I'm just going to tip those like this. I'm going a little bit faster, and you can always stop the video and go back. You could watch the whole video, watch it again, and stop it. Or you could just watch it. I'm not picky. So there you go. Okay. I really love my work. I have so much fun getting to do these videos. Now, here's what I've got. This is kind of fun. It's a little tricky. I've got a brush, so I can kind of brush away the little oil pastel flecks, but you can also take your hand and just kind of go like that. Doesn't matter, however you want to do it. Now, I'm going to hit that hill behind, and I'm going to do that with kind of a little bit of a moss green, and this is where it's going to get a little tricky. I'm going to kind of go around my leaves. This is just one technique. There's lots of other ways to do this, but when you kind of layer it in first with white, and again, I'm moving my paper to make it a little bit easier to work with. Now, I'm a lefty. I draw with my left hand. A lot of you are right-handed, so you draw with your right hand. In fact, we might even do a lesson, now that I think about it, we might do a lesson where we switch hands and just kind of have fun and try to draw with the opposite hand. But anyway, that's for later. So I'm just going around it like this, and as you can see, again, I'm using my brush. I can use my hand too. And I'm just going to kind of keep going around here. I could put more leaves in and make it a little bit denser. Like this one, I could add more leaves on this one here. And again, I'm starting with a white, like this. I have a bunch of leaves on the ground, kind of blowing around like this. And what if I did another color of orange on them? And you know, your leaves could be purple and pink. They could be red, they could be blue. It's all up to you. What I mostly want you to learn here is just kind of technique and not necessarily copying what I do, but kind of using it as sort of a little bit of an idea start. And you go, well, I kind of like that, but what if I did it this way? You could make the trunks thicker. You could do your trees differently. The whole idea is just kind of learning how to use oil pastels and enjoying it. Actually, oil pastels are kind of one of my favorite things to work with. And they're kind of forgiving. You know, if you make a mistake, especially if you outline in white, you can kind of color over that and so on. And I sort of like the way a little bit of that purple paper kind of peeks around the green. It just kind of adds a little interest to it. You know, lots of times things turn out good because by accident. So I've got my hill in, kind of colored in, and now I'm going to sort of have some kind of fun with the ground here. And again, you could do the ground solid. I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to come in with kind of a different sort of technique here. Again, I'm going to kind of go around the leaves, maybe even over them, and add some grass here. The grass is going to be bigger at the beginning, or bigger at the beginning, excuse me, bigger close up and smaller further away. So I just kind of layered in a color like that. And how about this? I might have some fun and come back in with some blue like that over the green. And again, this is just a technique here and just an idea. If you have a different idea of how you'd like to do this, go right ahead and do it like that. It's kind of fun adding a little bit of green, or excuse me, adding a little bit of blue, and then I'm going to come in with a little gold here. And again, I'm just layering. I'm going a little faster probably than you are, which is fine. I can slow down here a little bit. And the whole idea is what I'm doing is I'm just kind of building layers. Now look what happens when I come back in with a white. I'm just kind of building little layers of oil pastels to kind of make it interesting. I guess you could say this is a different texture. You know, textures, whether, you know, kind of what it looks like, sort of the surface could be smooth, or it could be sort of kind of stripy like this. And let's see, I'm going to come back in with a little bit. I kind of like that blue-green that I had up there. It's kind of fun to sort of echo that here. So just sort of, just kind of making it interesting like this. And I could add lots of colors to this, okay? And you could do it with one or two colors if you wanted. So I've layered a bunch of things in here, and I think what I'm going to do is maybe blend it. This is kind of the fun thing is, might blend part of it, not blend all of it. And it's kind of fun to see the effect the purple paper has kind of behind it, sort of making it kind of a little bit lighter. So just a little bit of blending there, and leaving some of the spots not blended, but you could not blend it at all or leave the whole thing blended. Now my tree trunks here, I've noticed that when this time of year, the trunks seem to be almost black. If you go, or at least around this part of the Northwest, this part of the world, and so I'm going to darken those branches and tree trunks. Makes it look a little bit spookier too, I think, like that. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to. You could do, if you wanted to do purple branches, you could do that. You want to do blue, you could do that. You want to do orange. It is entirely up. It's entirely up to you. Now, again, I'm going to kind of come back in and blend. Oh, I like that. That's kind of fun. Boy, my finger is definitely getting a workout here. So, you could do some wind like this. Just kind of take some white and have that wind kind of curling up and around, maybe blowing over the top a little bit, like how it kind of blows around in the fall. There we go. Maybe a little down in the grass, maybe a little up over here. Just kind of adds a little life to it. You don't have to do that to it at all. I'm going to come back in and maybe kind of go over some of the leaves and so on. What if too, I was kind of thinking about this, say maybe it is November and we get just enough coolness in the air that maybe we got a little tiny touch of snow just sort of touching the tops of those of the mountains like that. So I hope that you enjoyed this, and we're going to do more oil pastels probably in another lesson. And again, I just can kind of, so you can just kind of keep fiddling with this. I might come back in, put a little blue there. You can sort of keep fiddling with this and just sort of enjoy kind of experimenting. Boy, that was kind of fun there. Okay, so there you go. We had a little bit of fun. I hope I had fun, and I hope you did too, doing a little oil pastel with leaves like we did last time. And again, just a reminder, go any way you want to do it or put it on the paper. And then we did a drawing with trees and the leaves kind of blowing around, a little bit of wind, a little bit of mountains behind it, and some grass, and just hopefully had a good time experimenting with oil pastels and all the kind of fun things you can do with it. And we're going to do more of this later. I need to get my puppy like this. I just thought you might want to say hi to Brisket again. She's here for another visit. And what do you think about all this, Brisket, huh? She's a little tired because she spent a lot of time running around this morning on the farm. And can wave at everybody. We will see you guys next time. Okay, you take care.